going to process. I think, in the beginning, before the show came out, nobody knew what we were or who we were. And so season 2, it was kind of great to have, to be welcomed into the community. And we've had a lot of, interaction with people who, are involved in acting programs with actors who are on the spectrum, and different disabilities. We have, like I said, like consultants who we work with who, one of them is on the spectrum as well. The response has been incredible. Nobody knows who I am, and yet I still get people reaching out to me, and it's really moving. And I feel so, it's incredible to work on something that you feel like is actually impacting people's lives, or at least feeling like there's some sliver of representation of what's going on in their life that they hadn't seen before.
She's at such a tender age. 16, 15, season 1, which I didn't know until she had her 16th birthday. I'm like, oh, younger every day. But she's at such a tender age, and I think like for her, she's really just trying to figure out what works and what feels good in the midst of everything around her being chaos all the time. But she's grown up with chaos, and their family has continued to adjust to the chaos of their world and normalize it. And for Casey, I think she's using those skills that she's learned through her life of being there for Sam and being like kind of the family's protector to like boldly take on the world of being a teenager, which every kid has to go through. But Casey now has these feelings for this girl, and it's incredibly confusing for her. And season 3, she's figuring it out.
A roller coaster, I would say, just because you don't know what's going to happen. And even like when you're living it within the characters, you just don't know how you're going to act or feel. And so, I don't know, I feel like it's so emotionally raw for everyone to go through. And it's interesting to go through it with a lot of people and someone new that I had just met. So I think seeing it, I don't know, unravel on screen is really fascinating. Yeah,
like we learn about the story at like the same pace that you guys do almost, because we get scripts one script at a time. So we read it and we're like,
oh, what's gonna happen? Oh my God, holding hands.
And that's so funny because it's like, we knew something was going to happen with Izzy and Casey. And so for that to be like the moments like saved until the very last episode, and for it to be like something so delicate and sweet was so special.
And when we come back to shoot the next season, like we don't know what's going to happen. And so we just left on that note, and kind of like our friendship left on that note, which is super interesting that like it comes into your real life.
There are some similarities. That like neurotic thing definitely does live in here. That type A perfectionist. I think the thing that trips Paige up most in life is the expectation of how things should be, because it never works out that way. And I definitely relate to that. But what we do definitely have in common is that we're fiercely protective of people we care about. And you obviously see that often happening with her. And that is where her heart and mine are so the same, and where it's just not even hard to like defend, to play those moments, because that's just so real. So there certainly are some similarities, but what I think she doesn't have is just like the cool to maybe not say certain things. Like the filter is just completely gone, and she's totally unhinged and unfiltered. And I'd like to think that I have that still intact, so.
But also, we checked into our hotel yesterday, and we're like, Jenna, what are you gonna do? And she goes, oh, well, I have to unpack and like hang up all of my clothes and then fold it and then put it in the drawer. And I was like, there it is.
There it is.
I mean, it's so funny because when I got this job, I was like, oh, this will be a fun like 1 or 2 episode thing. And then I was like, oh, wow. And I mean, it's so true. We do find out week by week what we're doing. And so I am able to grow with her. And I think that's actually a huge advantage. Even in season 1, when he tells me he's not in love with me. Like when I read that, I remember I turned super red and like felt really hot and super upset. And so reading this, I had kind of wrapped my mind around like, okay, we're not going to be like, he doesn't feel that way about me, you know, all of that stuff. And so when I read that, I had to rewrap my mind around that. And so I was kind of on that roller coaster with her, which I think is actually extremely beneficial to not know and kind of be surprised along with her.
Season 2 was so fun because, I mean, season 1 ended pretty badly for Julia also. Like, you know, being proposed to by saying you win by your boyfriend is
As we all wish that would happen.
Yeah. But I loved exploring that side of her that's like out of the office too. Like she's not Sam's therapist, so like we get to see her real life and real Julia, not like the therapist Julia, which has been really fun. And also I love exploring like how people climb up after they like fall rock bottom.
Yeah.
You know, so it was really fun.
I mean, to have patience always. And when you're with that community, I was just talking to Bridget about it. They're like amazing people. I like hanging out with them more than I like hanging out with some of my friends. And it's like, they're just so fun. And I feel like this show is just about accepting and not even like thinking that they're any sort of different. And just like, they just have a different way of thinking. Not even that, but just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of the most
and-
like empathetic and accepting communities that I've ever like had the privilege to be a part of. And we've really been lucky with the events and the organizations that we've been invited to participate in. The other night we went to the Miracle Project, is an organization in LA that helps actors with autism find a community, and we saw a musical that they put on.
It was
incredible. And just like throughout the whole thing, you could see that nobody was there for the attention or the like drama of it. Like everybody was there to like make sure that the person next to them felt heard as well.
And
like
support.
that's just like really rare. And so it's been a special.
There was no judgment. There was no like, I'm in competition with you. Everyone was equal, and there was just so much love.
Yeah, it was so fun because a few of the members of Sam's peer group were in this musical, and I was like, I didn't know you could sing. Like they're amazing. And it was so cool to watch. And I feel, I definitely think patience and understanding it's taught, you know, being a part of this has taught me so much, and not just about autism, but on a global level, that you don't know what somebody else is going through. You don't know, you know, if you run into somebody at, you know, a store and it's a weird interaction, you don't quite just take a moment and think maybe, you know, not everybody is the same and everybody's different, and that's wonderful. And it's part of why everything, you know, we need more of that in our world right now, and patience and understanding for sure. And being a part of this show has been such a gift.
Yeah, I think this is relatable for a lot of things, but when you think you've got something completely figured out is when you can get yourself into a lot of trouble, because you never really do. And I've been shown that on this show quite a bit, because I did have experience with people in my community having autism growing up and things like that. And so I thought I knew what that looked like. And I have been so proved wrong that I don't know, because it is a spectrum and it does look different on different people. And I kind of got to learn that with Paige, because she doesn't know anything until she encounters Sam, and she has a lot of preconceived notions about what it might look like, or she just makes a lot of assumptions that maybe she shouldn't. And to be totally honest, I think I did too. And I think I've learned more and more to not do that because of this show, because it does look so different on different people.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the show probably changed all of us, like in our personal lives for the better. But one of the big things I feel like is that I learned is we're all unique, but we're not that different, you know, like, which is kind of, I feel like, is a lot of the messages that come from this show. And I don't know, I feel like it was a very beneficial thing to learn. Some people do and some people don't. I think, you know,
in some ways I've heard at least both sides of it. I've heard, oh, I finally can see something that represents me in some way. And I think like what Jenna was saying, it's when you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism, everybody is different. And I think that translates to whether or not people identify with Sam specifically, or maybe somebody else in the peer group, or, you know, I think a lot of parents reach out to at least me more than anyone, sort of saying, like, and Michael Rappaport, who plays Doug, has said he often has people come up to him and just say thank you. And he never, you know, he's worked for a long time, and this is the first time that he really gets that response. And I think, you know, our hope is that people identify or can see a piece of them, but if not holistically, at least maybe a moment, you know, but I think, yeah, thank you for sharing.